My name's Chris.
And I'm bored shitless.
Aren't we all? This is the Washing Up Podcast.
And I'm actually Kristie. In case you didn't know. Ta-da! It's me.
Why does Masterchef have this, a really good story? Good storytelling. Starts off a bit quieter. Then it builds a bit.
Yep.
Builds a bit to a sort of tension moment. Then it releases you a little bit and gives you a moment down.
Yeah.
And then it builds to an absolute crescendo at the end with resolution.
Oh, that's a good story.
Why are we building this in reverse? Because it feels like the producers of MasterChef don't quite know the order in which you build a story, and we're not building to anything that anyone wants to see. I've not seen, and this is not about the contestants, this is about the way it's been put together. I haven't seen anyone on Twitter clamouring for anyone to win.
I am bored. I reckon, right, what they should have done, cut it a week shorter, put the WA week earlier, and
100%.
got rid of people faster. Like this
We've talked about that.
This is just a wankathon.
So here's the thing: we don't actually know yet officially when this ends.
Call in now 1-800-wankathon, and you too can donate to MasterChef so they can fucking learn how to put a show together.
So here's the thing: we don't officially know when it ends. I'm now suspecting Tuesday night.
No, I think they're just going to make it go on and on and on forever, and no one else goes home for another 6 years.
The good news is they have to, because they have to start a new show on Wednesday.
Thank fuck.
So I think what they're doing is, my feeling is, because they're showing the Adam Goods documentary on Thursday night, so we may be back on Wednesday night, we may be back on Thursday night. There's an outside chance we could be here for both. Who the fuck knows at this point? But if they do it the way I think they're going to do it, then Wednesday night will be an elimination, which brings them to 4. Then you've got Sunday night, which could bring them to 3. Monday night could bring them to 2. And the grand final might be on a Tuesday.
No, 2 is in a grand final. 2 people are in the grand final.
That brings them to 2. I said, so we go to 4 on Wednesday night.
Oh, okay.
3 on Sunday.
Okay.
2 on the
Down
Monday.
to 2 on the Monday,
which
and then,
means the Tuesday is the grand final.
Gotcha. Okay,
That's
right.
where we could be. Well, look, I don't know that for a fact. They might suddenly kill people. They might have another round where they bring everybody back again and we start all over again, as Kristie
George
points out.
Columbaris might just set them free into a field and go chasing them down, and whoever he catches has to work for free at Hellenic Republic.
And of course, the other thing that you haven't considered yet.
What haven't I considered?
Matt Sinclair could just re-enter the competition.
I like that. He comes in, and now we've got a wild card. For the grand final.
It's like you're playing Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
A new combatant has entered the battlefield.
In comes Matt Sinclair to claim the trophy.
Wielding bottles of Cobram.
And he's like, win vindication, I finally win. Matt, we aren't at the end of the cook yet. Oh, okay.
Wielding bottles of Cobram and Queensland sponsorship money. Anyway,
walking through vineyards.
Wielding a paddock and a plate. All right, so we opened up last night with the letters from home. So they all pull up their cloches and they've got an ingredient, which was the letters from home. Now, I tweeted out last night, I will pay somebody to put a letter in there that just says, you didn't put the garbage out, you jerk. It's been there for months. Don't bother coming home. Or, my darling, how do I tell you this? I've been sleeping with the neighbour for 6 weeks.
And I'm leaving you. No, I was a bit disappointed, though, that Simon didn't read all of his out, because I presume his girlfriend is an erotic fiction writer. Hey, handsome.
We don't remember, we've seen her, but we don't necessarily know if she's real.
Okay, so Simon's
Ben's
pretending.
confirmed it.
Yeah.
But then again, I think it was Josh who pointed out last night. Was it Josh or was it you? I think we both said it. You both said it at the same time. Simon wrote his own letter, we're convinced.
Yes.
It began with, hey, handsome.
And then he wrote himself an erotic fiction through it.
Yeah.
I just long to have your sweat drip down on me.
Your paddle pop lion mane.
As you cook me some mussels and asparagus.
I do have to say, they went through...
Smoke me some mussels.
It's got to be smoked, of course. Now, what was really interesting last night about the letters from home was they showed a bunch of people reading the letters from home.
Except Nicole.
Well, we'll come to that in a minute, because we'll come to the Nicole one in a minute. Because Josh pointed out the Nicole one, Nicole's family didn't send the letter because it would have been a readmission back into university. It would have been a writ and a readmission. Dearest daughter, you will restart your university degree.
We have enclosed a one-way ticket back home.
We have found you lodgings at Monash.
We've got you a year's secondment at Oxford University.
Can't get out. You will have an electronic bracelet as part of your agreement.
I mean, to be stuck in, to be honest though, if you are going to be on home arrest at one of the universities of the world, Oxford's a pretty good one because there's lots of pubs and rowing.
That would be awesome. So we had all the emotional, the "we love you, Mum," and we had the my love, I can't wait to see you again. We had the heartwarming blackmail of Tim's letter.
We've put our child conception on hold.
And I guess
eggs wither as you scramble them.
And look, I don't think she intended it obviously to sound the way it did when he read it out. I think it was the way Tim read it because
my biological. As I watch you standing under the Masterchef clock, I just hear my biological clock ticking
down with it. The 30 seconds left call is more than just a cooking signal.
Could you imagine George comes over to their house?
No, we don't need that. Tim's there trying to, greet his wife in the most manly way possible, and George is through the window. 30 seconds! Push, boom, boom, shake the rum. Oh, no. We apologise to you, dear listeners.
No, because the show was boring for the past 2 nights.
No, I apologise for putting the image of George watching people have sex.
I still counter that's more interesting than what's been shown the past 2 nights.
So they got to then cook with these ingredients that were sent from home, and they got to do anything their hearts desired with that ingredient. They could do a world of things. So Tim made pork and puree.
He was given basil, though.
Yeah, I know, but pork and puree.
Give him basil.
I nearly expanded the game card to 12 squares this week, and pork was going to be there. There were a bunch of things that were going to be on the list if I'd expanded it to 12 squares. Your liver should thank me.
The interesting thing, though, is he's there going, he's going to do a porchetta, and George and Gary are like, say what now? It's like a porchetta, and they're like, say what? He goes, yeah, with this lamb loin. Oh, not lamb loin, pork loin. Would have been funny with the lamb loin.
No, they would have told him that was ingenious and great and creative.
Yeah, but now he's like, I just call it a pork roll. And not the kind you get from a Vietnamese shop. Sorry, my brain is still, bored.
It is, really. So, my favourite George moment last night was when when Simon was talking about his ingredient. He got coffee. Now, what I loved about this was the way that George became every awkward teenager asking someone on a date. So you like coffee? I like coffee too. Want to be friends? Want to be best friends? I like coffee. You like coffee? We go the same. Maybe we could like the same coffee. If I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you like my coffee, but if you wanted coffee, we could both coffee together, like we're friends. Coffee.
Is he a bit awkward because he thinks he's cheating on Matt Sinclair by asking Simon out for coffee?
It's just awkward coffee, friends, coffee, friends. I like you, Simon. You're cool. Hi, Tim. I like you, Simon. It was really awkward and weird, and Tim and Simon was just sort of going,
yeah, it's hilarious.
This is creepy. I mean, I wrote a letter that said "Hi, handsome," but this is creepy. Well, we weren't the only people I saw, but Twitter was awash last night with a series of GIFs. And it was all around the revelation that Nicole's partner...
His name's Stanley.
His name is Stanley.
Dude, stutter.
At which point, everyone on Twitter dug into the Office GIFs and out came a Stanley-a-thon. It was so awesome to see. I love it when Twitter bands together.
Yep.
And we all banded together on Stanley.
I do hope he's a crossword playing gentleman
who stutters
at a paper company. Would just be great.
Now, we've talked about the idea of the creativity of Grand Final week and the way that we are creative and we're new and we're different and we're going to do outside-the-box cooking.
Yeah.
We had 2 parfaits last night.
We did indeed.
Now, as I pointed out to somebody online, well, you can kind of say it's inventive because...
One had olives in it.
We haven't really
not in the parfait.
We haven't really had parfait a lot this year...
It's been panna cotta heavy.
Yeah, but they've now gone back on the old trope and, like, we've dug out the parfait.
Yeah, but what can you do in 60 minutes when you...
You don't have to make something that's iced.
You know what we haven't seen this year? Good old granita.
Most things. Oh, no, we've seen one granita.
Oh, there's just not been enough granitas.
That's next year.
Yeah.
They need to have a different...
granita.
Next year will be the year of the granita. So, and further to that outside-the-box thinking, Simon. Simon decided to smoke something.
Yeah, because, we're not seeing enough of that. I do think he wants to do something with smoking things after he leaves Masterchef. I'm just a bit confused there.
Now, I want to bring up... a couple of things. Now, last night, all of the emotion of the Tim, we've put everything on hold.
Yeah.
It brought out a lot. So Erin Marie tweeted out, but did he write for Abby on the plate? Because that's the sign of a true champion.
Do you really miss anyone unless you've written their name in sauce?
Now, this is where this brings us into a level of conversation I think we need to have, because Joe Kendry put up a poll last night, and we need to discuss it. What is the greatest disaster dish that is iconic in the history of MasterChef?
White chocolate velouté.
Now, white chocolate velouté is the traditional favourite.
Yeah.
But
is the
for Nathan... Now, to explain this, because there were some people who were tweeting me last night going, what the hell is for Nathan? Now, for Nathan is one of the greatest bad moments, I think, in MasterChef history.
It is.
So, what we saw in the for Nathan was we saw a parsnip.
Yes.
And it was on a plate, and I don't quite know. How would you describe what was around it? Because
there's like a vomit of semen. Oh, sorry, mash.
It is.
I think it's been piped on there.
The hook on the end of the parsnip, which looks like it's a cock with a claw, is amazing. It looks like it's a dog. So what's happening is that's going to knot in the end and like...
Oh, God!
Now you've seen it. You can't unsee it. Now, what makes this worse is that, like...
There's little, Parmesan crisps or
There's
something.
Parmesan crisps on top, that's true. But what Cecilia, who made this, did was then in sauce wrote, for Nathan, XOX.
Ooh.
It is the creepiest for me ever. Now, the other two things that Jo put up on her poll were her twill, which I might have suggested she needed to put up on the poll.
Yeah.
Or the fish from the group challenge this year.
Oh.
Oh, the chicken, not the fish. I always say fish because I think that, they wouldn't have undercooked chicken. No, they did. It was raw.
It was raw.
All right, so.
Look, as far as it being iconic, the white chocolate velouté has had its day, and I think for Nathan is now in the lead.
I think it's for Nathan too. I think that white chocolate velouté, and the reason why I say this is
the
Masterchef are in on it.
Yeah.
Like, they're in on it. They made the jokes all year about white chocolate velouté.
It's like, oh, no, we can't do this anymore. Sorry, Masterchef.
Once they've made the jokes...
You jumped the shark. We've got to leave it behind.
Once they've made the jokes, we've got a problem.
Goodbye, velouté. You were great, yeah. Goodbye, velouté. With white chocolate.
Now, when they were doing the tastings, Gary brought up a phrase that he said to Anushka a lot, which is... Well, it's not my favourite. He said that to Anushka about 5 times this series now.
I think he might be telling you something.
I think there's a message in it. There's... I don't know.
I'm sure they edit out when, Simon or Tim come on, you're my favourite. That's my favourite.
Anushka... Do you think it feels like there's just this genuine clash between her and Gary?
Yeah.
It just feels like they don't... And tonight, and I know he was trying to probably be warm and fun, but it came across really badly when he sent her home.
Yeah.
He was smiling and grinning with... There was one dish that didn't have raspberry. That was yours, Anushka. I'm sorry. You're going home. And he had this beaming smile on his face.
Do you think they did a bit of theatre sports action? And when you have a scene and you have to replay it in different emotions... You might have done it as a child and you're oh no, he's dead. And it's now do it when you're weeping. And everyone's
now do it laughing.
Yeah. Like, do you think they did that scene? Okay, now do it joyful.
The production team was so bored, they did about 8 versions of it. They stuck with the joyful one.
Mm-hmm.
So...
You should have seen them doing the John Malkovich version. It was quite funny.
I don't know why that cracked me up. Yeah. All right, so...
They rejected the work at Kappa. There wasn't a workbench.
Oh, God. So this led to... Of all the dishes, and look, we're not going to recount them all because, to be honest, can't be fucking bothered. What I will say, though, is that the Larissa one. So Larissa decided to go with, first of all, the parfait, but second of all, the madeleines.
Oh, I was down for the madeleines.
I wasn't.
Why not?
Because they were olives.
Oh, my God, Buchanan. It's either they're too banal and straightforward... Or, oh, I don't like it, it's got olives in it. Like, buck up.
You do know that it can have a weird thing in it and still be a bit shit of a concept.
Yeah, but at least she tried something. She used a time to be experimental to go for it. She took a calculated risk and it got her on the gantry.
You know, if one of them had tried one of those minced chicken parfaits that we've all joked about, or a minced chicken panna cotta, you would be the person there going, oh, she gave something a go.
Yes, I would, because I want to see some new shit happen.
There are things
there
that
might be a
shouldn't happen.
parfait there. Why not? Why shouldn't that happen? Lemon and olives go together.
Why shouldn't that happen?
Yeah.
Why shouldn't olive madeleines happen?
Because just think about who has to eat it. Like, if all else, who are you forcing to eat an olive madeleine?
Yeah, but then they loved it.
Exactly. They had to let their wankery win out.
So your philosophy now for Masterchef is make the weirdest, most random shit
to make the judges eat it,
because those 3 have to eat it.
Yeah, and then they have to wank on about it. So, you know.
I wonder if the olive... We'll come to it a bit more detail in a minute, but I wonder if the olive madeleine was part of the reason why there was no Columbaris.
If only.
He was at home going, I can't get...
Although Tessa was missing for a little while.
We'll come on to that in a minute. All right, so...
Did she leave with a shovel?
Now, that meant that the second round... They each got given an ingredient that that the people thought, and the judges thought, summed up our contestants.
Now, before it began, my call was Simon gets cauliflower.
You just went, Simon's going to get a cauliflower here, and
lo and behold,
boom, cauliflower.
Cauliflower.
The only call that was more obvious than that was Tessa was going to get a fish, and it was going to be John Dory. We also Tim, because his nickname's T-Bone. He got marrow
bone. I'm surprised he didn't get an actual T-bone.
Oh, I was so disappointed. Now, Nicole... Now, we're going to come to what Nicole did with hers in a moment, because Nicole has had a shit couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And last night was kind of the epitome of that. And the main reason was they gave her Morton Bay bugs.
Yep.
And Nicole's first thought was, I'm going to cook scallops.
Yeah.
And they went,
but we gave you bugs.
We gave you bugs. And she's like, but scallops. And like, but bugs. Scallops. Bugs.
No, Nicole, say it with me. Bugs.
The scallops.
No. Bugs.
Scallops.
Okay, scallops.
Yay! And then she abandoned them after she got halfway through. And then in the judging, when they got to hers, they went, if only she'd left the scallops behind. Like, they can't. They can't.
So we can't at the moment.
So Tessa got...
Barely kidding.
So Tessa got the John Dory. And my first tweet was, I hope she doesn't make a fucking butter sauce.
Well, guess what Tessa made?
Burnt butter.
Oh, which is essentially a fucking butter sauce.
So guess what? Drink. Now, now, we've made no secret of the fact that we really do actually like Tessa's cooking and think she's got a lot of skill and a lot of ability. And she's been for a long time like the pick of, we think she's going to go all the way and win this. But...
she needs to fucking pull her fucking finger out and stop with the butter sauces and fish.
She needs to stop making the same. They went at the end when they tasted it. They went, "This is sophisticated. this is complex.
This is what she made last week.
And
Burnt the fucking butter.
And I'm like, she's done it at least 7 times. She'd want to be getting it right by now.
She's going to open a butter and fish shop, you know. Oh, not a fish and chip shop, it's a fish and butter shop.
Josh had my favourite tweet because we had Anushka decided that she was going to do this Japanese fusion thing with mushrooms and quail and...
It's like, where has this Anushka been?
Mushrooms and quail and...
Why are you only pulling her out now?
Now, Josh tweeted out, I'm looking forward to that quail layer cake, Morton Bay bug parfait, bone marrow toasty, Japanese, French, Southeast Asian John Dory, and smoked cauliflower 10 ways. Funnily enough, what did Simon make?
Smoked cauliflower.
3 ways. And one of those ways apparently was burnt on a hibachi.
Oh, it's no good.
It wasn't burnt, however. You know why? It was lovely. It was caramelised. It was nice. All those bits were quite crunchy and quite nice.
Except that little bit there, not so good. But the rest of it, great.
And he
essentially served crumbs, though. He had a smear of crumbs. I don't know how you get it.
Matt Preston referred to it as bits on a plate.
It literally was bits on a plate. There was nothing to go with it.
When they started Simon's judging, they started off by saying it's bits on a plate and that bit's not very good and that bit's not very good and the smoke flavour's too much. And by the time they got around to telling them who was going through and who wasn't, it was the most innovative dish they'd ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, consistency, guys. We're back to the consistency issue again.
We had to save one penis.
So
we couldn't risk 2 penises tomorrow night.
So Tessa's big argument was
have
about
to get rid of a vagina.
So Tessa's big argument and big issue that she had was about butter.
So she's using too much butter.
Burnt butter. Yeah. And then they went, you're going to make a Gary-style potatoes, aren't you, full of butter? And she goes, well, yeah, I am. And they're like, well, you can't. That's going to be a lot of butter, and that's going to be a lot of butter. And I'm sitting here thinking, French cooking is all butter.
Yeah.
Like, what's the problem?
What are you expecting?
But then she's like, oh, maybe there's too much butter. I know what we need to do. I'm doing a butter sauce, and I'm putting a lot of butter in the mash. So what am I going to get rid of? Maybe I could change up and I could do like a new flavoured sauce over the top of the... I'm just kidding everybody. She took butter out of the mashed potato.
Uh-huh.
Because why not? Why would you look for a new flavour profile when butter is the key?
Yep.
It's the same, and that's the problem. Now, Nicole. Let's go through what Nicole eventually decided to settle on.
Yep.
Officially, it was agnolotti.
Yep. It was a pasta.
Well, officially it was agnolotti. And then she went, it looks more like ravioli than agnolotti. Also, the pasta hasn't worked. Also, I can't get the stuffing to stay in the middle of it. They also look quite rotten. They're also falling apart. This doesn't look very good. I've only got 3 of them. I'm going to fill it with a broth. It doesn't look very good.
It was a bisque.
Yeah, and then she turned around and she went, they don't look that great, which is possibly the understatement of Masterchef.
They were not good. I don't know what.
It looked, when she served it up, it looked 3 dry lumps of pasta. It wasn't cooked, which they even said it wasn't. It was claggy and just wasn't good. 3 lumps of uncooked pasta in a bowl with a very oily bisque around it.
Mm-hmm. Not pleasant.
It looked like... What it actually, to be honest with you, what it actually looked a lot like was what's happening to a lot of the Pacific Islands. The tide was rising rapidly and they were being swamped.
Oh, dear.
And they were vanishing. But the little bits of land that were there were very bone dry because irrigation's not a thing.
The agnolotti were just kind of like, we're going to be climate refugees.
Agnolotti, ravioli.
And Peter Dutton was like, no, back in your bisque, bitches.
And again, but this sort of summed up a bit. Nicole, she's been all over the place in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
And she said it last night at one point where she turned around and went, I've put so much thought into this. And then I flashed back to the beginning where she was throwing random scallops in there. And I'm like, but you haven't put that much thought into it. You were throwing random seafood in when you were just making a pasta.
I'm just not enthused at all. Let's just get to the tonight. So
anyway, after all of that, they decided that Tim's bone marrow flavours were all over the place, and Tim's practice of putting
his cracker was shit.
Tim's habit of putting things next to things wasn't working.
No.
They decided that Nicole, well, obviously it sucked, and they decided that Anushka wasn't Tessa or Simon, and therefore needed to go through to the elimination.
I'm sorry, Anushka, you have no penis.
So,
Yeah.
That brings us to tonight. Now, we need to start with a bit of a conversation.
Yep.
Tonight's challenge was sold as the Lamington.
Take on an Australian classic.
All right, so Matt Preston later on in the episode discussed what a lamington was, and he says it's chocolate and cream and raspberry. They are the flavours of a lamington. All right, now we here at the Washing Up Podcast like to answer the world's big tough questions, and we feel like MasterChef Australia has a gaping look. Food knowledge wise, I think we can both agree.
Yep.
MasterChef Australia has everything covered that you could even imagine.
Yep.
That you could ever dream of. They
Particularly
know all the styles.
all the panna cottas.
Lots of panna cottas. They've
All
got
the
all the
parfaits.
different, if there's a type of panna cotta out there, they've got it.
Ice cream. Check.
They know Southeast Asian flavours.
Oh, they do. So many.
Nobody knows more Southeast Asian
Pork
flavours.
belly.
If you could do pork crackling, you do it on MasterChef because pork crackling, wow, flavour. All the big hits. John Dory and butter sauce. Really, they've got it down.
Yep.
So, but there's one area.
Lamingtons. What even is a fucking lamington?
Yep. So we've noticed this over the last few seasons, and like last year, obviously there was the abomination that was Ben's white brick of shame, and this year this dish, which it looked fancy,
And I love the concept. I'd eat it.
but
Yeah.
I quote. A lamington is an Australian cake made from squares of butter cake or sponge cake, coated in an outer layer of chocolate sauce and rolled in desiccated coconut. The thin mixture is absorbed into the outside of the sponge cake and left to set, giving the cake a distinctive texture. A common variation has a layer of cream or strawberry jam between two lamington halves. Where the fuck does that say raspberry? Do any of the three of you know what the fuck a lamington is? Because I am starting to question your food knowledge because you don't seem to know what the fuck a lamington is.
I'm going to reach out. I'm going to reach out to a mutual friend of both MasterChef and the Great Australian Bake Off. Australia's own Maggie Beer, please do MasterChef a service and offer a masterclass next year where you just make a classic lamington, where you just show them what the basic... I think they've gotten too carried away with trying to do a take on the classic lamington that they've actually forgotten what a lamington is. Now, when the Great Australian Bake Off did some takes on a lamington, you know, we saw some interesting flavours come in, but it was still recognisable
You
as
could
lamington.
identify.
Even the bunt, the Pendang bunt, that Finuan...
It was still identifiable.
Still identifiable
Now-
as a lamington.
Now this, however, wasn't a lamington. It had coconut and it had chocolate with it.
Inverted.
But do you know how many different items around the world have technically a bounty bar? Therefore, is a lamington. By its very description.
Fucking a cocktail with Malibu in it.
Yep,
It's a lamington.
right there. It's a lamington.
Like a bit of raspberry liqueur in that, a bit of Bailey's. Fucking lamington.
Those homemade chocolate slices that, you know, mums used to make.
Yep.
Where they just desiccated coconut all
Yep.
over the heavy cocoa base.
Yep.
Lamington.
Lamington.
It's a lamington, right? I don't think that the MasterChef judges have an understanding on what a lamington is, and I think that
No.
might be the problem. Right? I thought last year they were just stupid because they didn't know what a cake pop was, and that's
No.
why Huda went home.
Yeah.
I actually think the problem wasn't so much the cake pop. They don't know what a lamington is.
They're confused. They're bamboozled. They only go to fancy pastry shops, as we saw, where
They've
Matt
been-
and Gary live. There's only a fancy pastry shop. And yeah, she seems delightful and makes really cool things, but I don't think she makes basic lamingtons. I think she makes inspired by lamingtons.
They've been hoodwinked. They've been duped.
They've been bamboozled.
And we're here to fix it. So it's a service we provide.
Yeah. So in the olden days, when like my mum had to do something quick for a cake stall, she'd do lamingtons. Now I don't know why the idea of quick and lamingtons come into it, because they're a bit of a fucking bitch.
Yeah.
Because not only do you have to get like the sponge cooked correctly, you then have to chop it up and then make that fucking drizzly chocolate icing that you've got to put it in, and then you've got to roll it in the coconut.
The
and
other
then you've got to
thing
let
is
it set.
the other thing too, and it's something that it's something that has got lost now in the modern take on a classic. But all these people baking fresh cakes, a lamington is supposed to be a couple of day old sponge.
It's a little bit stale.
It's supposed to be a little bit stale because that's the idea of when you use the chocolate and that it brings it back to life. And it's supposed to be mock cream.
Yeah, you can't use that real stuff.
No, not real cream. It's too rich if you use real cream. Mock cream and a couple of day old sponge, realistically.
That said, I really like fresh sponge lamingtons because it's softer and squishier and
But
yummy.
that at least would look like a lamington.
lamington.
This challenge, look, the cake was wonderful. It was inventive. It was creative.
Look, they can go on the fucking Coles website and order like a friggin' tray of lamingtons.
They could have.
You know, like the little...
And then Curtis Stone could have advertised it the next ad break.
Ba-da-da-da.
Notice how we didn't get an ad for Curtis Stone advertising lamingtons.
No, it was all sourdough. With Laurent.
Fucking Laurent. Surely Laurent knows how to make a lamington.
Well, he knows how to make a 30-hour sourdough, so...
Seriously, if you're spending 30 hours making each individual sourdough, you're wasting your time, much like they were wasting their time with this dish. How's that for a segue? Because this was 4 hours of pointlessness.
I'm bored, and I don't know if it's a show. I'm blaming the show because I have watched Great Australian Bake Off, Great British Bake Off, Canadian Baking Show, Kiwi Bake Off, a few others that have a set like bloody what's it called structure.
Yep.
And there's a lot of things that get like challenges that get doubled up. But for some reason I'm engaged. I'm wanting to see what's going on.
The jazz riffing in this is getting beyond a joke. And I'm kind of worried. Like, tomorrow night just looks like a normal cook.
Yeah.
Like, it just looks like a normal cook.
You reckon it's going to be an open pantry, open garden?
Oh, if it's an open pantry, open garden, you'll hear about it on the next podcast.
Well, Tim will do a pork crackle. Larissa will do a dessert, featuring a panna cotta.
It'll be with some weird ingredient. What are we going to go with this time? I'm going to go with a caper panna cotta.
Tessa's going to do seafood.
Uh-huh.
And Nicole, she'll probably go seafood as well.
Okay.
Oh, and Simon, he'll get like cauliflower or beetroot or parsnip.
I'm thinking Simon goes
Smoke
with
it.
Simon goes with something like cauliflower. So
Yeah.
Tim. The Tim narration tonight was next level fucked. He opened with "the glaze is hurting my eyes."
Look, maybe that's why George couldn't be there tonight, because he's had laser surgery, obviously.
Now this is...
And I think he's walked in and he couldn't wear the glasses in the studio because it shows all the cameras and stuff reflecting. And he's just gone, I can't, guys. The glaze is hurting my eyes. Glaze hurting my eyes.
So here's the thing. This episode bored me so much. I didn't realise that George was missing.
Until the judging.
Until the judging, when I looked at Kristie and went, how did I not notice that George was gone?
I know.
I didn't notice. It wasn't even a case of, I just sort of didn't really pick it up. I picked it up and forgot about it. I didn't realise he wasn't there.
He was gone. It was the glaze.
But the gantry crew, and I'm going to include Tim in the gantry crew, even though he was cooking, because his narration sort of counts. It's getting worse, not better. And this is not about the people. I'm going to put this one back on the editors, and I'm going to put this one back on the producers.
Yeah.
People like Larissa are getting the audience turning on them.
Yep.
Because of the gantry stuff.
Yep.
And I don't think that most of them are their lines. And again, they're not said in the context we see them in.
No.
They're said in a different context and recut. But a lot of people, for example, were like, Anushka is being treated like shit by Larissa, who's really condescending to her. I don't necessarily think that's the case, but I think there's a lot of editing that's not helping.
Yeah.
And I think that the editing and the production on this is getting lazy. Tim broke out the beautiful trope 1,000,000 times tonight.
Oh, God.
In one sentence, he said it 6 times.
Oh, I got the beautiful lamington. I got it out of the ring. Oh, this looks beautiful.
And he was so focused on saying the word beautiful,
It's beautiful.
and coming up with as many tropes as he could that he forgot to put chocolate into the chocolate base. Everyone
Those
else
are
pulls
beautiful.
their base out, and it's all chocolate coloured. And he pulls out a very, 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 very blonde. It was so blonde, it could have been the extra member of Nicotina. And
Nicotina, Tessa,
biscuit base.
biscuit base.
Now it's a Monty Python candidate from the silly election. Nicotina Tessachetti biscuit base. So he then goes, oh, I put cocoa butter in there. I should have put cocoa powder. Oh, I wonder if I can fix that. And then just randomly throws it all together. Now, he spent the whole episode telling us, I'm really worried. I've put the wrong ingredient in the wrong place. I've put the cocoa butter. I've put the cocoa. Guess what?
Judges' care factor?
Judges didn't even mention that there was a problem.
It did not affect the biscuit base at all. So here's something we've learnt. Cocoa butter in biscuit base means fuck all.
Now, Anushka decided that her approach to the challenge was, why plate up a good dish in 4 hours when you could plate up a perfect dish in 21 hours?
It really was. She's like, I just want to read the recipe properly. Yeah, that's fair enough. But, like, you have a time limit.
The fascination with watching everybody else, though, in terms of their timing, is a problem for me within MasterChef, because you know that people in these challenges fuck up.
Yeah.
So why are you worried about what the bench in front of you or the bench behind of you is doing? Because they're probably going to have to stop at some point and go back.
But you know what we should really be worrying about? Tessa went missing.
She did. So they had her featuring early, and then they showed her at the end to show she was alive.
What do you reckon? What do you reckon she's doing? Learning ninja skills?
I think that she
Vespa
was...
joyride?
No, I've got the answer.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this before. We were trying to work out where she'd gone. She snuck back to the MasterChef house.
Right.
Now...
For a coffee?
No. Here's what she did.
In the Nespresso machine?
No. It comes back down to... She decided that they needed some pets for the last week to sort of liven up the house a little bit.
Okay,
what she did was she went down to the aquarium and she got some fish and she brought them back to the fish tank and she put them in the fish tank and then she filled the fish tank
with butter sauce.
So that the fish could be a living embodiment of their time together on MasterChef. It's quite original as a gesture. And look, I don't think the RSPCA would be pleased.
No.
But as a warm-hearted gesture that sums up her time on
kind.
MasterChef, I think it's one of the most touching gestures I've ever seen.
What do you reckon the pH balance of a butter sauce is?
We add a bit of salt to sort of like balance it all
out.
up. But I think that a fish tank of butter sauce, the aquarium of MasterChef. That's what it's dubbed. You know what else she did? She went and got
scallops to put in there?
Yeah, some pan-seared ones already. And just sort of dropped the pan-seared scallops in there. It is an aquarium of MasterChef goodness. That's it. What it is, it's the aquarium of MasterChef.
And she got like a little, one of those little like pump-activated shells, that lift up. The little oyster shells that let bubbles go. But what she'd done was put a parfait inside it just to make Larissa feel included.
She took one of the bugs that Nicole had used, and it's just sitting because the butter sauce is congealed. Yeah. So it's just sitting at the top, like hello, at the top of there. It's the MasterChef aquarium, the MasterChef aquarium in its finest. But I think, look, again, a touching gesture, a warm gesture, a loving gesture, a lovely gesture.
Feed them a bit of pork crackle.
I thought it was that's she's sprinkling not fish food but pork crackling. Dory, I made you some pork crackle. So that's what I think she was doing.
Just keep basting.
Now, I thought Anushka would have been great at this dish because there were layers to it.
I thought it's in the bag, and Larissa pointed that out too. And you saw Anushka go, "Oh, it's good to have lots of layers in there."
Yes, and she was officially referred to as the Queen
of Layer Cake.
So she is the layer queen, according to Larissa. The layer queen.
And it's got nothing to do with the cakes.
No, it's everything to do with the Star Wars impression.
Help me, Obi-Wan. You're my only hope.
Now, I do want to bring up at this point in time that thank you, first of all, to everyone who's engaged with us on Twitter. However,
have a great.
To Junkie, which in itself is a junkie organisation that treats workers quite shittily. If you were going to go through the top 25 MasterChef tweets of the year and leave us off the list, your dirty rag deserves everything it gets as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and quite frankly, like, I'm grateful that we didn't get put in a position where we'd have to decline, like, who was it? This wonderful Aboriginal woman who was being given an award for, like, Aboriginal Woman of the Year in NAIDOC Week, and she declined it because it was sponsored by Serco, who have so many private prisons and profit off the blood of her fellow brothers and sisters, which is kind of shit.
So Punky, which is a branch of Junkie. Junkie are a horrible organisation. And I'm not just saying that because they didn't include us. They literally are a horrible organisation. But you still want to be included in any list of the top 25 MasterChef tweets of the year. I have had some gold in them hills. Pure, solid gold.
I don't like being trolled like this because I was a troll in my high school yearbook. Like, okay, legit, I hate Friends. I think Friends is the most stupid and overrated show on TV. But I was in charge of the high school yearbook because we were volunteered to do it, me and another friend of mine, by the popular girls who were totally into Friends and who all thought they were a character on Friends. So in response to that...
Gunter, the guy from Central Perk? The guy making the coffee?
Yeah, I'm sure.
They were all Gunter.
They're all Gunter. I don't even know who that is. I'm so proud of that.
You saw me sitting there for 5 minutes trying to remember a name.
Yeah. I did the top 10 overrated things of 1997. Yes, that is when I graduated high school. At number 1, I put Friends, and it was so vindicating that they had to come and help us put it together and staple it together. And one of the girls was ready to go, top 10 overrated things of 1997. Friends is number 1. Oh my God! And me and my other friend Emma just giggled.
Channel 7, I don't know if you remember this.
We had our Romy and Michelle moment.
I don't know if you remember this, but before Channel 9 got the rights, 7 had the initial rights to Friends.
Oh.
And 7 did this call in and watch it episode spectacular thing that was supposed to change the way that television was being viewed. And there was an episode of Friends on that, and you had to call in at like midnight to get the latest episode or something like that. It was this weird fucking concept, and that was the moment that 7 lost Friends, and then Channel 9 went over and bought it out from under them.
What?
Yeah, 7 did this thing where it was like almost like a telephone thing, where there were a bunch of whatever is the most popular thing you ring up and vote for, we'll show that first.
Were they trying to crowdfund Friends?
Let's go with this.
Like come in, like donate.
0055 numbers.
0055.
Early 1990s in Australia, there would have been a lot of heavy breathing. So basically just a shorthand that there, Junkie and all of its subsidiaries, Punky, are fucked. Feel free to retweet any of our tweets you might have liked over the course of the year with a hashtag #FuckJunkie. So, anyway, we're really padding because, to be honest with you...
There's fuck all.
It was fucking boring. Anushka had her spray gun.
Yep.
The judges were clearly right in front of her.
Yep. Why didn't you, Anushka? Why didn't you just fucking spray Matt? I reckon if Matt hadn't disturbed her at that point in time, her raspberry gel would have been on the plate.
I think so.
And she was very gracious under pressure, I must say.
Nicole blew hers away.
She got a bit too close and personal. She just wanted to, like, spray each individual place.
Like, I thought at one point she was going to have nothing left and going, I don't know what's wrong.
She's not used to spraying her own. She usually just goes into one of those booths, arms up and behind the head.
Well played. So...
Did a bit of a spray tan.
The whole episode...
I hope it's stuck, though. I hope he's got a little bit of a tan on his boobs. That would look really funny on a redhead.
It would. So, the whole episode, and here's where everyone online was commenting.
Yep.
The episode came down to cryo-vacuum gel. Mm-hmm. You know, that thing we all do in our kitchens.
Yeah, when I have another spare 6 hours to go before I eat something, I just like to cryo-vac my gel.
Like, that is the most ridiculous part of this whole thing. 4 hours to make that dish is not worth the time it takes to eat it. And it wasn't as spectacular looking as they were hoping for 4 hours worth.
Nah.
And literally, I didn't realise the challenge had ended.
No.
It finished, they were all hugging. I was looking away doing something else. I looked back up and they were ready to judge and went, oh, shit,
I
was
only knew
finished.
they'd finished because Anushka just, almost said a swear word, which is delightful.
Now, when Anushka walked into the judging... Now, I think his some people will say that she probably knew and therefore she was a bit defensive. I would argue that when she walked in, she almost sealed her own fate by the way she interacted with judges.
Yeah.
Like, she walked in and she snapped at them. Well, I haven't got all the elements on the plate. The raspberry missing, but hopefully it's fine. And no, don't walk in and just say that. Just bluff.
Yeah.
She spent the last 3 or 4 where she screwed something up, being passive-aggressive that she's either screwed something up or left it off, and then going, oh, well, I left it off or I missed it up or I didn't. Like tonight where she went, always 2 minutes late. Doesn't matter how long you give me, I'll just do it 2 minutes late. I was like, just plan better.
Yeah. Maybe just not talk to Matt.
That might have been handy too.
Yeah.
So the judging was really like, once they pointed out that they thought that Tim's was amazing and it didn't really matter that he'd got flavours in the wrong order because they were all there. Fucking don't.
No, he didn't get flavours in the wrong order. He just put cocoa butter in the...
Yeah, but he didn't have... They also said that the rest of his chocolate stuff wasn't chocolatey enough.
Oh,
but
right,
that
okay.
Was that was okay.
That was... You could forgive that. It was forgivable. Yeah,
you could
that's right.
forgive that the chocolate wasn't chocolatey.
Yep.
Apparently. But you couldn't forgive that her chocolate was apparently very chocolatey.
Okay, if you got a lamington, you couldn't taste the chocolate, what would you be feeling at that point in time, Chris?
That I've been ripped off.
Were you actually eating a lamington or a raspberry flavoured fucking sponge cake?
Well, they wouldn't know the difference because they don't know what a lamington is. We've been through this.
Which is why they can forgive it.
So I'm kind of... Yeah, I kind of felt that the whole thing was a bit weird. Gary was ridiculously joyous, as we said, when he sent Anushka home. I kind of feel like Anushka also, while she was selling the whole I really wanted to be there at the end, I kind of got the feeling she was ready to leave.
Yeah, like she has 0 fucks to give.
Now, as for the rest of this week, we can't tell you what it's going to be or what order it's going to be in.
No,
we don't know.
Have a feeling there's no Masterchef Thursday.
Yeah, I think it's off Thursday, so I think we're going to deal with an elimination Wednesday, and as I said, then probably a Sunday elimination, a Monday elimination, and a grand final Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's my best guess at the moment. We might be wrong. Who the hell knows?
But watch the Adam Goods documentary instead. That looks pretty good.
Do watch that on Thursday night. We may be back on Wednesday rather than Thursday. We may still just be back on Thursday. We could, outside chance, have both nights. I'm working on a guest for Thursday that we might be able to have on the show, which would be catching up a guest that was supposed to be on the show earlier this year, but unfortunately other time constraints meant they couldn't be on the podcast. So until whatever other fucking night it is this week,
Yeah.
I'm still Chris.
I'm still Kristie.
We'll catch you all later.
Bored now.